Hey everybody, welcome to Frames of Mind, where we get to know the mind behind a frame. Today I have my good friend Ron Solo, like Han Solo, from POC Culture. Ron, how are you doing today, my friend?
Jorgie, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited and honored to be on your show.
Yeah, so for those of you who missed my syllabus day episode, Ron is how I got into entertainment and like entertainment journalism. I started writing for his website, POC Culture, in 2021. So my 4 year anniversary is about to be here because my Darth Vader review that I did for you was like in February or something. And so I wrote for him for like all of that year. Then at the end of the year, Ron was like, "Hey, do you want to try doing some movie reviews?" And I did like the Tick Tick Boom review, and it just kind of like kept going from there. You actually like started your own website, your own entertainment outlet. Can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to do so, and how did you even get into that initially?
Yeah, definitely. So I founded POC Culture, our site, after originally doing a little bit of entertainment writing for a Star Wars focused site, which I just did out of pure fun and passion. When Star Wars came back, when Disney bought the Star Wars franchise, it was like everything Star Wars was on fire. Everyone loved Star Wars. I think it's ironic where we are now a little bit, which we could talk about. But at that time, I remember like a big editor of a different website, entertainment website, saying like they don't even like Star Wars, but Star Wars keeps the lights on because they it got all the traffic, all the clicks, all the attention. But me, I just like you, I loved Star Wars and started just writing for fun because I just wanted to get involved. And then that kind of evolved, just like you talked about your writing evolved and coverage evolved. And then in 2018, that was a big year for representation in film, right? Crazy Rich Asians came out, Black Panther came out. Both were historic and also just huge. And it really inspired me to shift my focus from just, Star Wars to covering projects that celebrated diversity in pop culture. Because, Georgie, I love that I'm on this UCI show with a bunch of amazing young college students full of potential, but I'm an old man. And when I was young, there weren't shows with representation for Asians in America and even Black, Latinx, LGBTQ. They just weren't these types of shows or movies. And it's a different time now, which is awesome, but there's still a lot to do, a long way to go. And I just wanted to do my small, very small part in lifting that up. And so that's why we started POC Culture.
Can you talk a little bit about like actually starting your own outlet? Like what was that initial experience like when you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this thing, but how did you actually like make it happen?
Well, it was really helpful to start with just dabbling at the Star Wars site that I mentioned
Hmm.
because being that site was also an independent outlet. They do very well. They're still around today in a kind of a little bit of a different form, but being able to be a part of that team was great because I could say, "Hey, have we done this? Have we talked about this? Have we thought about this?" And they would just be like, "I don't know, let's find out." And so the creativity and the flexibility and freedom that I had in an indie outlet allowed me to just test things out. And part of that was just making some various press contacts within the industry. And of course, like it started with Star Wars, but it allowed me to have some experience on how to reach out to people. The part that I had zero experience in was anything related to tech, web design, coding. I can't do any of that. I'm absolutely an old man, like I said, when it comes to that. And so that one was a little bit challenging from the logistical perspective of like, okay, I want to create a site. I have an idea of the site name, right? POC culture. It's supposed to be like a word play on pop culture, POC culture. And so I was like, okay, I like the name, and I hired like a artist to create a logo, and then. But I was like, how do I start a website? And so I had to do a little bit of digging. Nowadays, though, it's so easy, and there's so many different ways you can just create a website. So I just launched it without knowing too much because I think one of the things for anybody who wants to do any creative endeavor, whether it's writing, whether it's making a film, whether it's drawing, art, whatever, is you kind of just have to get out of your own way and start. And it's going to be a little bit rocky. I definitely have made and continue to make some mistakes here and there, and we're just figuring it out. But you have to do it because otherwise you can just sit and marinate on it forever. And so started the site, reached out to some press contacts that I already knew and expressed an interest in just covering their projects. And some got back to me and some didn't. Some gave me some opportunities. And, it was a little bit of a slog for a bit. It was tough. I would say the first 2 years it was really hard because it was hard for me to really dedicate the time, effort, and energy necessary to start something and get it off the ground, and then to have the appropriate level of exposure to be able to have somebody give me a real chance beyond just, oh, I watched this movie at the theater that I went to this weekend, so I'll write a review. And so, you know, it was tough, but fortunately, it's been uphill thanks to people like you and other people who are part of the team.
So he's talking about the first 2 years. So this is like 2019, 2020 when it was like tough. And then did when did things start to like change a little bit? Was that 2021 towards the end of that year or
Yeah, ironically, the pandemic, of course, which was really a difficult time, was good for me being able to focus a little bit more because we're all working from home and a lot of the opportunities went virtual, which
totally?
was really helpful for me. One of the things I should share to everyone is this is not my main job. This is not my 9 to 5. And it's hard to carve out that time to do something you really have a passion for and you love. Before we started, Georgie, you and I talked about this is a labor of love, but we can't forget the labor part. Everyone focuses on the love, but there is a significant labor. That's why in that phrase, labor comes first, right?
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where I was able to focus more working from home, and a lot of the opportunities going virtual was helpful. And there was a contact at a major studio who gave me a shot that I previously wouldn't have had. And that was huge because it was a time when, of course, 2020, not only was it the pandemic, but it was the murder of George Floyd.
Mm,
And there was a lot more awareness related to diversity and representation and a demand for it, right? Which we're seeing a lot of that rolled back now. But at that time, I had a contact at a major studio who didn't need to. This was before any of the studios had like DEI
uh,
divisions or anything like that.
yeah.
But this person said, "Yeah, like I heard about you. I like your work, and here, let me give you a chance." And that changed everything for me. So a lot of times you just need somebody, you need to put in all the work, you need to be um, ready, but you also need somebody to give you a chance. And I was fortunate in that aspect.
The pandemic also, like you mentioned, because that's when I got into this, so I have no frame of reference for what things were like before the pandemic had started. But um, with like junkets and interviews going virtual, it kind of feel like leveled the playing field a little bit for people who, I mean, we are in like I'm in LA, but for people who aren't in LA to kind of break into this and get some opportunities. And you also mentioned like diversity and like representation, which I didn't really mention before, but like we've gotten to cover a lot of really cool things, and I wanted to talk a little bit about like what are some of the favorite things you've worked on for the site? Like what are some of the coolest experiences you've had?
Oh, there are so many, and it's so hard to believe when we think back about that for both of us to over the last few years. And I know offline we text each other and message each other regularly, like, can you believe we got to do this and we got to do that? And
I text you so
it's so
much.
awesome. Yeah, it's been great and really a dream come true in many ways. Again, but a lot of hard work that both of us have put in, and our colleague Eli, who's a major part of our team, also. I mean, just that we're small but mighty, and we put in a lot of those hours at all hours of the day, all days of the week. But yes, if you allow me to just like reminisce on the fun times,
Yes, do it.
my very first like major project that I just loved to cover was this show called Warrior, which was inspired by Bruce Lee's writings, which has an all Asian American cast. It was originally on Cinemax. Obviously, nobody watched it because nobody had Cinemax.
Mm,
It went to HBO Max, now Max, and it's currently on Netflix too. Unfortunately, they canceled it after 4 seasons. Is it 4 or 3? Whatever it is.
yeah.
But it's an awesome show. It's a very unique show, and I really enjoy getting to interview the casting crew of that show, including Bruce Lee's daughter, Shannon Lee, who is a force in her own right. She currently runs the Bruce Lee family of companies, and so she's awesome. And then like one of the two major highlights, of course, was covering Marvel's Shang-Chi, which was the first, Asian American superhero
Yep.
in a blockbuster format. I ran a charity drive for that, raised over $20,000 to send, kids from different backgrounds to free screenings. And the director, Destin Daniel Cretton, came and talked to the kids, as did Andy Lee, who's he plays the death dealer in
Death
the film.
Dealer.
That was like just, I can't even believe that still happened. It seems like a wild thing. Um, and then Wakanda Forever. Like I said, the original Black Panther was a huge inspiration just in my life, in everything that I do. And to have the opportunity to cover Wakanda Forever and attend the premiere and talk to Ryan Coogler a little bit was a really incredible full circle moment for me.
That is incredible. Like, so I've known you for a very long time. I covered this in my first episode, but like I've known you since I want to say like 2017. Do you even remember like how we initially met? Because I don't remember how we met, but it's like you've always just like been there in my like circle.
I've been your Obi-Wan Kenobi spirit ghost hovering in your professional life. I mean, it has to be Twitter, right? It has to be
Oh,
when
it
Star
was
Wars
definitely
Twitter
Twitter. Yeah,
was
yeah.
not the most gross cesspool of disgusting people, and back then it was actually a good thing.
Yeah, I think we met before it kind of went south, for lack of a better term that we can use on the air. But but yeah, and then so like we were friends for a few years, and I would tell you like I don't know if you remember this, but I'd be like, hey Ron, can I write for you or like let me write for you? And initially you would be like, no, like I'm okay. And then so it kind of became like a
Wait. Hold on, hold on. It
yes,
wasn't just
yes.
no, I'm okay. It was like hire somebody. Like I'm a one person show. Like I hadn't even conceived of like bringing someone on. And then I was like, I literally pay out of my own pocket. I don't make a single cent. I lose money on this site. So unfortunately I can't afford to pay you. That was the thing. I wasn't like, no, no.
Fair. Okay, fair enough. I mean, I don't think I was really looking for like to get paid. I just wanted to like try it. So I just like I would keep like bugging you every now and then, and so it just kind of became a little bit of like a running joke sometimes. And then, I like planted the seed though, because one day it worked, and you were like, "Hey, Georgie, do you want to write a comic book review for me?" And I was like, "Oh my God, not me manifesting. Like we did it. We did it." And then so that's kind of how that happened. And then at that point, it was like we had been like good friends for a few years. And then, like you said, the Obi-Wan Kenobi figure. Last year was a super cool year for us. I think one of my favorite memories, though, of like us hanging out like at work was going to see Wicked together.
That
Um,
just happened too. Yeah, it was just a couple months
it was
ago.
just a couple months ago because, and then you also had to do a really cool interview for that. You spoke with Michelle Yeoh for
The
that
Queen,
film,
yes,
The
I got to
Queen.
interview Michelle.
Yeah, that was so cool. And like, because I didn't quite know how big Wicked was gonna be when we were there, because I knew it was huge, obviously, but I just didn't know how huge it was just gonna blow up to be. So that was like super cool to get to see that and like be surrounded by like a lot of friends and things like that, and like see the musical and just like see everyone around us like sobbing. It was great.
Yeah,
Um,
we should say what it was we got a chance to go to Universal Studios, like the studio
studio
lot,
lot, yeah.
and watch a screening of it in their like private screening room that they have there, which was really cool.
Yeah, I got to be Ron's plus one because it was a junket screening, so I didn't have to do anything. It was very fun. Uh,
Those are the best.
those are the best. um,
I thought you were gonna say Ahsoka.
Ahsoka was pretty fun. I think, well, because that one was an interesting one because it was during the strike, so no one was there. But that one, actually, that one was a really cool one because that was my first like Star Wars in person experience. Um,
Yeah, we met. Didn't we see like Matt Martin and
oh, that was the Acolyte.
oh, was
So
that Acolyte?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. So
okay.
that was
Yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah.
my other like that's my number one memory too. There's so many like number ones from last year, honestly. But yeah, the Acolyte was in May, and my friend Matt Martin, who works for Lucasfilm, was at the premiere, and I like ran into him randomly, and so like it was so cool because we come from like the Star Wars Twitter background to kind of see all of these like Star Wars celebrities that like people from the media who are come from a more like film TV background, they didn't know who these people were, but to me I was like, these are like these are my like top celebrities, like that's crazy. And so it was really cool to kind of just see all of them and meet them. Like we you I was too nervous to go up to Kathleen Kennedy, but you were like, let's go, and you like introduced me to her, and I got to like take a quick picture with her. That day
That's
was,
right. That's
yeah,
right. I was like, let's do it. There's Kathy Kennedy right there. We should go. You need to go talk to her.
that was like the one person I was too nervous to go talk to. That no, that truly was like the best day. And then getting to interview Lee Jung Jae and Leslie Headland, that was like just like the best day ever.
In
Um,
person.
in person too. That was so cool.
That's
Uh,
huge. Yeah, I mean, for those who don't know, like there's junkets and there's like being able to, well, first of all, getting to go to a Star Wars junket is not tough. I mean, excuse me, is tough. It's not an easy thing. And you got to do that. And then to be there in person so that you could literally like shake hands with these people and talk to them face to face. Huge, huge.
Yeah, I remember like basically blacking out. Like I was talking to Leslie Headland. I walked out of that room like I don't know what just happened the last few minutes. Have no memory. I'll watch it later and learn what I said. But yeah, for sure, in-person junkets are a different beast because they're pretty hectic compared to like the onlines. We do have a lot of comic book movies and TV shows coming out this year, and that's kind of another one of our like big things is like Marvel and DC. So with movies, we've got Captain America, we've got Thunderbolts, we've got Fantastic Four coming out this year, and then Wonder Man as far as the Marvel side. On DC, we have Superman. So like, what would you rank as far as like what are you most excited for? For me, I'll go first. You probably can't guess what I'm most excited for. Superman. Superman's number one for me. Then Thunderbolts. Then Fantastic Four. And then Captain America.
Okay.
Yeah, how about
Okay.
for you?
Oh, I don't know that I was ready to rank them. Let me think about it. So this is just pure excitement, right? Like
Just
what am
pure
I
excitement,
looking
yeah.
for? Well, I I think I'm most excited for maybe Superman, surprisingly. So Georgie and I always joke about Georgie's the DC like Stan, and I lean Marvel, obviously, based on some of the big projects that I covered and just my own like history. But of course, like Superman is going to be huge, and it's also the launch of the DCU. So I think I'm excited to see how that goes. I'll put Cap 4 second. I think also again, it's a curiosity factor because this is like the return of I think heading towards the next iteration of the Avengers. And so I think it's going to be an important film and a little bit overlooked. Now it's got its controversies and issues, and those are important and will be a factor going into the conversations going forward. Um, and then Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four.
And then as far as TV goes, we have Daredevil Born Again. We've got Ironheart. We've got the Eyes of Wakanda animated series, as well as Marvel Zombies on the Marvel side. And then on the DC side, we've got Peacemaker and The Sandman. So that's probably a lot to rank. So maybe just like your number one or two of most excited. Again,
Well, and don't sorry to interrupt you. Don't forget your friendly neighborhood
your
Spider-Man
friendly
coming out
neighborhood
later
Spider
this
Man.
month.
You're right. Yes, totally. Um, my answer is completely unsurprising. So Peacemaker is my number one. My number two is The Sandman. I'm really excited for that one. And I also have to say I'm really excited for Ironheart.
Now, are you a huge fan of the first season of Peacemaker?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just curious. Yeah, I liked it a lot too, but it's interesting. It'll be interesting how they pivot to fit into the DCU after since the first season came out before any DCU
Yeah,
content.
the interesting thing is how it's pretty disconnected from everything else, but obviously there's gonna be some like retcons because like the Justice League shows up in the last episode.
Spoilers.
Yeah, and so I don't think I don't know, it'll be interesting. I feel like they're probably just gonna like avoid it altogether and it'll just be something like the audience just has to kind of like disconnect with in their head. But because DC, I feel like the DC EU, the previous set of films haven't had much coming out anyways. I don't think it's gonna be like that hard to kind of just jump for audiences. I think audiences are smarter than like fans give them credit for, because people are like, how's that gonna go? And me personally, I don't think it's gonna go over that poorly. I think it should be fine.
Oh, that's interesting. I think of audiences the other way. I don't think they're as smart as anyone gives them credit for, but I think they're actually more ambivalent. They just don't care about continuity. That
Yeah,
half the audiences won't even remember that final scene. You know what I mean? Like, and whatever. Even if they do remember, I just don't think they care. I think it's more apathy than intelligence.
that makes good point. That could also be it. Um, for sure. Yeah, I don't think it's as big of an issue as some like comic heads on Twitter might like try to make it seem.
Right.
But that being
I
said,
agree.
yeah, I am curious like how tonally, if it'll be different from season 1, or what that's gonna be like, because I really did enjoy like how like silly and just like weird and fun it was, because it wasn't what you usually think of from like a superhero project to me. um
Right.
yeah,
Right.
so
And I, I actually hope because Peacemaker is so goofy, I hope they actually do make some kind of passing reference to that final scene. Like it would just be fun.
yes,
If they were like, remember that those weirdos that showed up or something, just like you know what I mean? Like
they should
almost
make they should make Peacemaker the like Deadpool of the DC universe, where he's
yes,
just like all of these like meta commentary jokes of like, man, like, can you remember how bad of a state we were in, or something? Just like all of these like constant
yeah,
jokes would be
yeah.
great. What
I would love that.
So what are you looking forward to most from superhero television this year?
Yeah, so I would say two. Well, honestly, I think all the projects are pretty awesome. Um, I'm Black Panther is my favorite comic character, so Eyes of Wakanda is definitely number one on my list. I saw a preview of it at D23 Expo last year, where we got to see some clips. We got to see a little bit of that history's Iron Fist, because I think Eyes of Wakanda is 4 episodes and going to cover different eras of Wakanda in each episode. And we got to see one where it was like ancient Wakanda, and
Wow.
we saw an ancient Iron Fist. I think it's interesting that Marvel is, low key seeding Iron Fist, because we also saw kind of an early version of Iron Fist in What If this last season.
Mm.
So that's number one. Wonder Man is definitely a show I'm excited about because it's executive produced by Destin Daniel Cretton, the Shang-Chi director. Um, his sister, actually, Joy Cretton, is a costume designer, and she's the main costume designer on Wonder Man. Joy is awesome, and excited about that. So, and then, yeah, certainly Daredevil. Like, I am a huge fan of the Netflix series, not all the Netflix series, just Daredevil.
Just a dope.
And I think it's going to be a huge show, so I'm excited about that.
Awesome. I love that. And I can't wait to get made fun of for my DC fandom this whole year, because I will not shut up about DCU. I'm so excited for what they're going to come out with, and no matter like how it is, I will be there. I'm like ride or die for DC. So, I'm excited.
This
Um
is your time. We talked about this during Blue Beetle. You and I got to attend Blue Beetle, a screening, where Angel was the director was speaking, and we talked about that and how the DCEU was the time I got to mock you, but now
yes.
it's your time. It's going to be awesome.
As we go into our final few minutes here, again, the show is called Frames of Mind. So I want to ask you, what is your favorite frame? Is there a shot you particularly like?
Yeah. By the way, I can't believe one of your favorite, like most favorite memories wasn't going to the Superman trailer event. I thought that would be like,
Honestly, that's just like, yeah, it is my favorite moment. That was my
okay,
favorite
okay.
moment in my life. So, for the listeners who don't know, so I got to go to like a Superman trailer reveal event for the new James Gunn film, and I got to like meet David Cornswood and James Gunn and Rachel Brosnahan, and that was just the best day of like my entire life. So, that's like a little out of the purview of the question. But no, that was incredible. So, do you have
Okay. Yes, to answer your question, I have two things that come to mind regarding framing. So in episode one, Star Wars episode one, The Phantom Menace, when at the very end, when they're rushing through the flight hangar, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and Padme, and then the blast doors open and Darth Maul is there, and he ignites his double saber. that moment where he's framed in that doorway and the double doors open, it's like emblazoned into my head. It was such an incredibly epic moment for a fan of the original trilogy who'd kind of been waiting that long for that level of lightsaber dueling. And Darth Maul, is was awesome. So that sticks in my head. And then, of course, I told you that Black Panther is like the movie that changed my life, basically. And in after T'Challa has his first fight and like earns the title of king, and there's a shot where it's behind T'Challa's back and it screens up towards all the other Wakanda tribes, and he just screams like Wakanda forever. I mean, it gives me chills talking to you now, but that shot where you see the colors, the glory, the joy of what that film represents and what Wakanda as a ideal represents, I think was incredible.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's so many favorite shots. I'm like surprised you had two really good ones just off the top of your head because I'm so indecisive. Um, and my next question is, what's on your mind? What's the last thing you've seen you just can't stop thinking about?
What have I seen that I can't stop thinking about? I mean, I did see Squid Game 2 recently. I finished that series or that season. I was a little disappointed, to be honest. I don't think they quite captured the surprise and also social commentary that the first season had, which is hard. Um, and I think that's kind of, ruminating in my mind. It's been a little while since I've seen anything that I really loved. Um, but I did see The Shrinking, which is an Apple TV show plus show, season 2, and I really enjoyed that. I think they do emotions really well.
Awesome, I love it. And again, that is Ron Solo of POCculture.com. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Ron.
Georgie, thanks for having me. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations on the show.